Matt Mayoko from NBC Sports Bay Area checking in with the recap of the 49ers 28 to 18 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. And stop me if you've heard that before. 49ers are now 0-5 against the Chiefs under this Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid regime. Of course, two losses in the Super Bowl. And this was going to be the game that the 49ers felt really good about. They weren't going to be able to avenge the Super Bowl loss. As Trent Williams had said, that ship has sailed. But you thought that they had a good chance to win this game. Coming off the long bye, they were 3-3. They kind of needed this game, I think, more than the Chiefs do because they came into the game at 5-0. But Kansas City, also coming off their bye week, and under Andy Reid, the Chiefs have been remarkable. And actually, before that, the Eagles were very good coming off a bye week when Andy Reid was the head coach. So now they're 22-4 teams that are coached by Andy Reid. And this one was just kind of more the same for the 49ers. Just they weren't sharp. They just didn't look good. And some big injuries along the way, or one big injury along the way. And we'll get into all that. But first, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. Really appreciate it, and want to let you know too that this is brought to you by Canyon Club Brewery. It's a restaurant and a beer garden located in Moraga, California, a family-friendly atmosphere. It's right down the street from where I live. Definitely one of my go-to places. And look for it coming soon. Canyon Club Brewery will be opening a spot in Danville at the Livery right off of 680, and it should be great. So check it out. I'm sure you'll see me there sometime if you go. Okay, 49ers 28-18. And the thing about this game, there's so many things to talk about, but let's just get right to it. Brandon Aiyuk more than likely sustained an ACL injury that will put him out for the season. And that is a major blow for this 49ers team. And I know a lot of people will be saying, well, he hadn't done a whole lot up to this point, but I can tell you psychologically, emotionally, and then just the football part of it, this is devastating for this team, especially after signing him to the big money contract. And yeah, he hadn't been producing like I'm sure the 49ers fan base would like him to. But in order for this team to realize its goals, to be playing the kind of football at the end of the year that they wanted to be playing, they needed Brandon Aiyuk on the team. They needed him peaking at the right time. It's just a bad situation for Brandon. Heart goes out to him and to his family. So just a bad situation. And, it happened right near the end of the first half where he caught a pass and he was kind of being wrapped up by Trent McDuffie. And then Shamari Connor came in and just hit him really hard in the hip area, the mid torso region. And initially I just thought, oh man, that must have really hurt his hip or a Charlie horse or, a hip contusion or something. But, upon seeing the replay, you could see how his right knee buckled. And so the initial diagnosis is a season-ending ACL injury for Brandon Aiyuk. So a very tough blow and really put a damper on this day, even more so than the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. And this day started off so great for the 49ers because Ricky Pearsall was going to be making his NFL debut. Ricky Pearsall, the first-round draft pick who was shot in the chest on August 31st, spent less than 24 hours in the hospital. And then the big transition, or the big development that had to happen for him physically, was just breaking down the scar tissue that formed during the path of that bullet, which entered through his chest and out through his armpit area in the back. And so once he was able to kind of break down that scar tissue and regain full range of motion, he returned to practice, and then he made his NFL debut on Sunday after a couple really good days of practices. Well, it started off as, Ricky Pearsall could get in there, kind of be eased into it. They had the luxury of kind of bringing him along slowly as far as acclimating him to the offense. I kind of felt like he would play anywhere from like 15 to 25 snaps in this game. He played a lot more than that because We knew that Juwan Jennings was going to be out with a hip injury. 49ers are hoping to get him back to play against the Cowboys next week. But Deebo Samuel, who had been bothered by his wrist, showed up ill at Levi Stadium on Sunday morning. So they couldn't bring up another receiver from the practice squad. They had to have him in uniform, basically. And he got out there, started the game, but really could not go. So he was a non factor in this game. So the 49ers were without for most of this game, including the entire second half. They were without Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Aiyuk. So the 49ers had to put receivers Ricky Pearsall, Chris Conley, Jacob Cowing, and Ronnie Bell out there. And you know what? It just wasn't a good day for the passing game. Wasn't a good day for Brock Purdy, who struggled. In fact, both quarterbacks. I think that I would say inarguably Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy are two of the absolute best quarterbacks in the NFL. If you only watched the game on Sunday, you wouldn't have been able to tell because both of these guys had their worst games from a passer rating standpoint that they've ever had in their careers. For Mahomes, it's 120 games. That's regular season and postseason. His passer rating was 44.4, worst of his career. Brock Purdy's worst game today, 36.7 passer rating. That's 28 regular season games and 6 postseason games. His passer rating after throwing 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, was worse than the passer rating he had against the Baltimore Ravens back on Christmas night. So the 49ers, they just didn't do much offensively. The third down conversions were really bad. Conversely, one area where the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes excelled was their third down conversions, where they're up over 50%, almost 60%. The 49ers, 2 of 11. So simply not good. And now, like, where the 49ers go from here? They fall to 3-4 on the season. Seattle goes to Atlanta and pulls off, I don't know, pulls off, but it was more, I think it was an upset. I thought the Falcons would win that game. Seattle blew them out 34-14. So now the Seahawks are all alone in first place with a 4-3 record. 49ers fall to 3-4. And I think there's reason to be concerned when you look at the state of the offense and talking about Ricky Pearsall. Now he has to be the number 3 receiver. He has to get out there. Deebo Samuel should be back against the Cowboys. 49ers are hoping that Jennings can be back, but Ricky Pearsall now, it's going to be more of a load on him, and he's excited for it. He said it, felt great for him to be back out there playing football. He had never ever missed a game in his college career, and to make his NFL debut was something that he was really excited about. I was there when he walked through, came into the stadium 4 hours early, and he said, "I've been waiting for this one." And he went out there, and there were 5 passes directed his way. He caught 3 passes for 21 yards. So what was kind of interesting about this, Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, 2 draft picks for the 49ers, wide receivers. They not only both caught their first passes in the game today, they caught their first NFL passes on the same series. And that was on the series where Brandon Aiyuk sustained the injury. Again, a devastating blow for this 49ers offense, especially when you consider, too, that Christian McCaffrey is not available. He was out at Levi Stadium 5 hours before kickoff, getting into workout clothes, went out to where the practice fields are, where the weight room is, as he continues to ramp up and rehab the Achilles tendonitis, bilateral, meaning in both feet, both legs. So he's continuing to ramp up, no setbacks. Everything seems to be very encouraging as far as his progress. But with the game coming up against the Dallas Cowboys and then a bye week, I'm assuming that if he remains feeling good, looking good, everything remains in a positive area, the window will kind of open for him to make his return at some point after the bye week. So a lot to talk about. Malik Mustafa, really good game, 12 tackles in this. As the 49ers turn to some youth on defense. Renardo Green takes over for Isaac Yiadom as a cornerback who comes in nickel situations. We saw more D Winners out there as a 3-down player. And then Jair Brown played a lot. The 49ers had like 4 players, Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa, the safeties. They had 4 players with fewer than 2 years NFL experience getting a large role in the team's defense. Um, a couple of things going back to Brock Purdy. The 49ers don't have the offensive players that they've had. George Kittle, by the way, had a very good game. It's going to put more on George Kittle's plate. They're going to have to use him more when Deebo Samuel gets back. Juwan Jennings will now be a starter when he gets back. They're going to be asking more of Ricky Pearsall. But does it also make it a situation where Brock Purdy has to do more for the 49ers offense to succeed? Purdy says no. He asked this question, or somebody asked him, does he have to put more on his plate? Does he have to carry the team a little bit more? And his answer was, is there more pressure on me to put on the Superman cape and do more? His answer is no. He says, we have enough playmakers on this team, enough good players that all he has to do is do his job. On Sunday, he didn't do his job with the 3 interceptions, one in the end zone where he was hit as he was throwing. Another play, I think it was a bad read early in the game where he didn't see the safety coming through, tried to hit the pass down the field. That was intercepted. And then there was a play for Ronnie Bell where he threw to Bell, and it was tough to watch it live and not think that maybe there was a miscommunication. Maybe Purdy thought that Bell was going to be at a spot that he wasn't at, but Brock Purdy put that all on himself. He said it was a bad throw. And Kyle Shanahan confirmed that. He said, no, it wasn't a miscommunication. He just missed his target. So a lot of room for Brock Purdy to get better. The run defense wasn't good, especially Patrick Mahomes containing him. 49ers give up 4 touchdowns on the ground, which is something very unique. And then, of course, we're going to talk about special teams. It started off well with Anders Carlson making a 55-yard field goal, but once again, special teams really did not perform well, giving up a 55-yard touchdown, or not a touchdown, but a 55-yard punt return to McCole Hardman, where guys are falling all over, running down to try to cover that punt. Kansas City was able to cash that in for a touchdown. Even before that, defense had some mix-ups, a couple of offside penalties, 12 men on the field. 49ers just did not look sharp. They did not look like a well-coached, well-rehearsed, ready-to-go kind of team that would try to live up to that spotlight, because everybody, the entire nation saw this game, and the 49ers certainly did not put their best foot forward. And it showed up on special teams with what I talked about, the punt return that they allowed, a missed extra point with Anders Carlson, who missed a lot of extra points with the Green Bay Packers last year. And that's why he was cut before the season started. And then just kind of the embarrassment, I guess, of how the game ended with an onside kick where Mitch Wishnowsky basically swung his right leg and missed the football, or darn near missed it. And that onside kick, which has to travel 10 yards, I'm not sure it made it 3 yards. That's how poor that was. So Kyle Shanahan, um, out schemed by Steve Spagnuolo. Once again, the Chiefs have all the answers on defense. 49ers aren't able to come up with anything to beat whatever it is the Kansas City Chiefs are doing with their variety of coverages, their variety of blitzes, their pressure packages, and everything else. And it wasn't like it was an offensive masterpiece by the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the 16th consecutive game where they have failed to score 30 points, but they did enough to win this one. Other than the 2 interceptions that Mahomes threw, and Clea Davis came up with an interception, his first career interception. Diamador Lenore continues to play well. He came up with an interception. But the 49ers fall to the Kansas City Chiefs 28-18. And I really, I'm not an alarmist, but I do think it's, I wonder if this team has the ability to turn it around. They've done it before. Fred Warner was asked after the game what gives him confidence. And it's just that, a lot of these guys feel like we know who's in that locker room. The guys in that locker room, there's star power at pretty much every level of this defense, but they're not playing like it. Speaking of star level, Trent Williams, certainly one of the bigger stars of the team, he gets ejected as frustrations kind of boiled over. But I'm going to have Trent Williams back on this one because the safety, Brian Cook, punched him, and then Trent Williams retaliates, and it's Trent Williams who's ejected from the game. Well, I thought, the NFL, they have video. They could see in New York, even if the game officials missed it. I don't know why the officials, in the offices in New York didn't see that and have both players ejected. So that's kind of a weird thing that happened. But certainly Trent Williams will get fined for that as well. And 49ers did not hit the right buttons. They did not do much right at all on this day. But I will say this, that Kyle Shanahan did put it in perspective on a day where so many things went wrong. Ricky Pearsall's return being certainly the highlight of the day for everybody. But what Kyle Shanahan said was, there's no way to sugarcoat this. We got our butts kicked. And he didn't use the word butts. And I think I would agree with that 100%. The 49ers, it was a 28-18 loss. It was 28-12 late in the fourth quarter. There was a point where you thought maybe the 49ers can pull this thing off despite being shorthanded offensively, but they just did not have the answers against the Kansas City Chiefs. So thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe, turn on your notifications, like, comment. I'm sure there'll be some a lot of reactions and overreactions coming off of this one, but I don't blame you. This was a game that I think everybody was kind of geared up for here at Levi Stadium. When the schedules came out, this was the one everybody circled, and the 49ers simply did not respond. A lot of reasons for that, of course, but hey, no excuses either. 49ers did not do what was necessary to win a game against a very good team. And the 49ers believe that they're a very good team, but they haven't showed it yet. All right. That's me, Matt Mayoko from Levi Stadium, and that's it for now.